Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in to one of ePartrade's Race Industry Now Tech webinars. If you're a part of the racing industry or you're just passionate about racing tech, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Hello and welcome to Race Industry Now. I'm Joe Castello, once again joined by Judy Keene. A little mutation at the beginning. I was muted. No big deal as we get started, Judy. I'm happy to be back. Of course, we've got our great sponsors, ARP and Ferrea, C-Tech, Peak, Crower, Fifth Third Bank, of course, Race Fan. So cool to be able to dive in once again.
Jill, I agree with you. We have some of the best sponsors out there, very hardcore racing. So really excited today to have Dennis Borem join us. I've been wanting to have him do a presentation for well over a year. This is one of the hardest engine builders working out there. I see him at the drag races, at the NASCAR races, and has a great shop in the heart of Mooresville, and he is everywhere. I don't know how he does it. Excited to have him on, Joe.
I am excited as well. I see Dennis walking off the starting line at NHRA Mission Food Series drag racing. Dennis and I have worked together in the past with Lake Speed at the Engine Performance Expo. And so we're going to take a deep dive into his business, ProMotor Engines. They do a lot of road racing stuff. They do some drag racing stuff. They built engines for years in the NASCAR Cup Series going way back. Dennis, welcome. I'm excited about the next 45 minutes or so.
Same here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, super cool. Let's start out at the beginning. We just rattled off a whole bunch of, I would say, points of interest over the course of your career, things you're doing now. We're certainly going to talk about what you do and who some potential clients and customers are for you guys in the future. But how did you get here? Let's talk about the beginning, because I know ProMotor Engines has been around for a long time in multiple facets, even in different parts of the country. And you guys have kind of come together now. But let's talk about your story initially. It is my understanding you're a West Coast guy who came east.
Yes. I'll try to compress this and condense it. But grew up kind of a gearhead. Didn't have anybody in the family that raced. So I kind of did it on my own as a teenager. After I got out of the service, ended up in an engine shop in Northern California, building. Basically, they were NASCAR Grand National engines, that same as the Cup Series, but they ran out west. So we would race with the Cup guys at Riverside back then in the mid '80s, and worked for an engine shop out there. It was actually Pro Power Engineering with Lloyd McCleary and Mark Smith, and we built engines out there, sent them back east over the periods from '85 until '89, and then in 1990, the guy I worked for, Mark Smith, him and two other guys formed TriStar Motorsports, a Cup team. They actually formed it in the late '80s, and it was in North Carolina. So we came back in 1990, had a full sponsorship with Country Time Lemonade and Bobby Hamilton. Ran the Cup team. We did that through the '90s, and in North Carolina, we started leasing engines, qualifying engines in Cup. Because back then they would change engines just for qualifying and then the race. And we leased to some of the bigger teams. We were a small team, kind of in the corner, but our forte on part of it, we were kind of strong on the engines. So restrictor plate engines were something that we excelled at through the '90s. We got a pole in '94 for the 500, some other poles in that year, and had success leasing engines to other teams through the '90s. And meanwhile, ProMotor Engines, I was with TriStar Motorsports as a racing team. ProMotor Engines was leasing engines also. We competed against them at a different level because it was their main business. For us, racing was our business. Leasing was just helped offset it. 2004, kind of fast forward, Mark Smith, we had stopped racing and kind of got away from racing, and we were focused on engines and had won a couple truck championships in the NASCAR series in early 2000s. And then in 2004, we merged. TriStar Motorsports merged with ProMotor Engines and with Peter Guild. And Peter had run the company and owned it since the early 70s, I believe. and moved ProMotor in 1989. ProMotor moved to North Carolina from Chicago. So ProMotor Engines in Chicago did drag race engines, boat engines. They had a big background in road racing, and then they started doing cup engines in the 80s. So Peter was wanting to slow down and maybe retire. I don't know if he still comes around some. I don't know if he really thought he should have retired, but he did. And we brought these two groups together, and we kept at it with NASCAR. And as the sport changed, we started looking in other areas, and road racing. Really, the Trans Am series, it's a really good segue for the NASCAR engine, because it's very close platform, that engine. We started doing machine work for the drag racers, and where we are today, we do, we had talked about, we do Rick Ware's two teams, all their short blocks. We do the cylinder heads, repair work, and I'm often at the track helping, and that's been totally different. But and we still continue in the road race world.
Very exciting. Well, a lot of cars out there in the road course world, and they want reliable power. We're certainly going to talk about all of those things. I do believe we have a video that you guys have put together. Let's
Yes.
go, now that we know a little bit more about you, a little bit about the company, let's check out the video. And on the other side, we'll dive into some of the things that you guys do.
Sure.
Sit back and enjoy the sights and sounds of lightning, a tornado, and an earthquake, all wrapped into one. It's time for Top Fuel. Wow. Clay Milliken, 381, 321 miles an hour. And Matty Gordon, 382.1, 322 miles an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for the Clay Milliken and Matty Gordon team? Two good hits to start. We saw Antron run a 79 during testing, and then Doug came back with an 80. And I think he lifted a little early down there. It looked like
he was a little bit.
And there you have it. And so we're going through the process, machining, lapping some valves, dyno testing. We got to hear the announcing skills of Bill Bader Jr. from Night Under Fire right there, which just happened. A big blockbuster, independent drag racing event that many say is one of the most exciting events out there in the world of drag racing. You guys were there. That is very cool to see how you guys kind of run the gamut of motorsports.
Yes. Yeah. It keeps us busy here at ProMotor. We didn't do this on purpose. In 2017 and 16, the owner of ProMotor was Mark Smith, who I had worked for 30 years, and he passed away from cancer then. And I guess you'd say I was always his right-hand guy, and we kept the company going. And at that time, even we knew the sport was changing in NASCAR, so we were gonna have to look at other areas. And Mark and I had talked about it as early as 2014. What are we going to do in 10 years? What's it going to be like? And so that I just kept going in that direction on where the work was. And at that time, it was just the need. It's like, okay, we have families here, we have a business. We have a lot of talent here. Let's keep it going. And the road racing for at that time was the direction. But from there we got into USAC midgets, and part of it is my fault because it's hard to say no. People call you and it kind of like, yeah, we can do that. And the one thing I can say that I said yes to that has been mind blowing to me, and it still is, and that's where I met you, Joe, is Top Fuel. There is nothing like that. So I still scratch my head. But it's exciting, all these different venues.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. In the world of drag racing, we don't turn, we just go fast, really straight line. But it's obviously it's more complex than that. It's not that simple. But not everybody, even in the world of motorsports, fully understands that. So a guy such as yourself who's had experience in just about everything gets over there and wraps your mind around it and says, wow, like this is an incredible engineering exercise. It makes me feel proud about what's going on in the world of NHRA drag racing. Now that having been said, you are here on Race Industry Now because ePart Trade does such a great job of connecting customers and businesses. And there are people out there in the road course world and the engine world. Their local guy is no longer in business, or they're looking for reliable power. And you just listed probably more than 100 years of institutional experience that you and this business that you've come together have. And so let's talk about what platforms you are looking to build engines for, and try to connect you with those folks, as it's becoming more and more challenging to find someone who you can rely upon to do the machine work, to get it right, not have it go back, and to put you in contention to win races. After all, you're not just going to show up, you're going there to compete.
That's right. I mean, when the customer calls me and a new customer or existing customer, their goal, they have to have a good experience. It's no different than the race fan that goes to the racetrack. So we have to put on a good show at the racetrack. We have to build a good product here that they can go out and run and have fun. The fun stops when they run out of money. And the better job we can do is assess what they need. So each customer is different where they're racing at. But durability in road racing is huge. Whether the Trans Am 2 Series is a spec engine, and that's a sealed engine that we do, us at K-Tech Engines in Michigan. And it's more of a cost-contained series, and it's still expensive, but they have a sealed engine that runs multiple events. But it's basically, we build the engine, there's a fuse on it. This thing is a bomb. And you go up to the Trans Am, the top Trans Am cars, and you have 300 more horsepower. So you're in the upper 800 horsepower level, almost 900. And depending on how hard they want to push it, right, that fuse gets shorter. So we have to work harder to make it live, because they're spending more dollars. So there's a place in road racing is kind of a neat series, because I think it parallels drag racing a lot. There's so many different places to race on affordability levels, or if you're a professional racer and you just want to go all out, it's there too. I prefer to make horsepower, but I love engines. So even at the other level, you're still trying to do the best you can on that platform.
And so imagine someone is a TA2 racer, which I love that class just because it's American muscle. It's, we got Challengers and Mustangs and Camaros and whatnot. They're really cool. When they used to come to Homestead Miami Speedway, I would go out there and be the track announcer for the Speedway. And I always marveled at that. To me, that TA2 and Trans Am in general is close to drag racing, because the similar cars just doing different things. So I was instantly a fan. But you've got to manage a couple of different things that putting your skills to the test. You're making power, but you need to make power over a broad RPM band, unlike drag racing where you're on the wood the whole time. In Trans Am road course racing, you need power and torque off the corners. What track are we going to? And it must be challenging to build a package that is going to work under different conditions, different tracks at the cup level. You guys were building engines for specific tracks. If you've got a sealed spec engine, that's got to bring with it many challenges.
It does. The sealed engine is what it is. So we have to, our job there is, we're not in the business to try to tell a customer or try to say, hey, we can get another 10 or 15 horsepower if you to do this, because we are confined on what we can do. So what I tell the customer in that series is we keep all of our engines as close as possible on power. They're less than 1%. And our job in any series, but especially that one, is customer service. You know, we have to be there at the track, help the customer, and to get everything they can out of what is there. Because oftentimes it's a wiring harness that's close to a header, it gets hot, things start going wrong, things of that nature. Where the Trans Am, the bigger cars, there's things we can do in those at intake manifolds. So you get to a track where you just, a real slow track where you don't need the horsepower, you may need the torque, or if you don't need the torque and you need the vice versa, we tailor it a lot of times with just the intake manifold, because it's something that's easily changed. You can do things with the carburetor, but that series is, I would say that's probably, we have one customer, he says it's the scariest car I've ever driven, because it's so powerful. The tires on it, you know, for a road course are so good. Once people get in those cars, that's preferred, but it's very expensive. You know, those cars are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And thoroughbred sports cars, not talking like 24-hour of Le Mans, ragged edge F1 style technology, but anytime you're going out, turning left and right, you're going to spend a lot of money. Trans Am is so cool. It's interesting that you offer personalized adjustability to your clients, though, right? Like you can,
sure.
You're talking about changing the intake manifold based on where they're going. How does that work? Like, what are some of these tracks? And a customer says, Dennis, we're going here this weekend. Give me the setup.
It's really the driver. The more experienced drivers probably give you better input. I can ask a driver, a very good customer of mine, Tony Avi, if he goes to Road America, he can use all that power. So we might look for a manifold that runs on top. You know, it might make 10 or 15 more horsepower, and he can feel it. My next door neighbor here to our shop, we do a lot of work with Joe Nemechek, who he's big now in the vintage racing, which years ago when I was cup racing, if you said vintage racing, I would think of 1950. Well, these vintage cars are 2018 cup cars. They're pretty nice. So we just took 15 of the cars. We had 15 engines over in Le Mans last month, and we rated HSR, historical stock car racing. They went over there. It's under the IMSA division, and took the cars over there and raced them at Le Mans. And I think they had 40 ex NASCAR Cup cars in that race, and it was such a good thing. I mean, the people in France, they went nuts over it, the stock cars being there. But that's another big series that there's a lot of work in that series that it's like a grassroots thing. It's kind of grown.
Well, also, and the pushrod V8 gets some hatred or mockery for being old world technology. But when it comes to making big power in a very reliable package, tough to beat.
It is.
And so over there, we're still running them, and I think it's great.
It is. No, they do a fantastic job, and we still use I would say the old generation Cup motors, which is still the legal engine today, but might be an engine the platform's 8 or 10 years old, and we have managed to have a pretty good inventory to where we can service people like Joe Nemechek or somebody that comes in and needs a road race engine. It goes in well with our other road racing.
Well, it's good that those places, those parts have somewhere to go.
Yes, absolutely.
Unlike those nitro engines that you're working on.
Yeah, we just finished up. Matter of fact, they picked up 6 short blocks this morning and a bunch of cylinder heads for Brainerd. But yeah, that world is. I knew it was like that, but I didn't know anything about how it worked. I just, I'd seen it literally. I'm the guy, even up until I think 15 years ago, I had never been to a top fuel race. I'm from the Northwest. I just didn't, little town in Oregon and California, I just never went to one. Went to some local track stuff, with bracket racing and stuff, and done that. But going to, I think Charlotte, it was 2012 or 13, and seeing the cars, like, I was like, that's over the top. There's just nothing. There is anybody that's never been. There's nothing like it, and to be a part of that now, one run, the thing comes apart, and you hope it comes apart only in your pit, right? But sometimes it's the other way. But it's definitely it's exciting to be a part of that, and to be a part of what Rick's trying to build on. It's been ups and downs this year, but they're working at it, and they're just across town from us right now. So.
Well, I think it's cool that so you do, and I know we're jumping around a little bit, but this is your business. You're all over the place with various different customers and clients. So many teams build their short blocks in house. You handle the short blocks for Rick Ware Racing, as I understand it.
I do, yeah. So what we do is the short blocks and racks, and some of the guys over there at the team, they're obviously they come over and are part of what we're doing, but we focus part of our business. We put aside some people in time to where when it goes to a racetrack, the racks, they come back here after the race, and everything gets inspected, and the run counts checked, crankshaft magnafluxed, blocks repaired, sleeves, mainline, everything's put back if they can. If it's broke, and they do, Jim Taylor back here welds them back together, and we remachine them. And cylinder head department, we have a CNC department, so we don't CNC heads. We do CNC heads. We don't CNC the top fuel heads, but we can do repairs to them and bring everything back. But that keeps us busy because there's 2 teams there, so it's double the trouble. But at the track this year, I've been going to a lot of the races and helping with short blocks, because we were trying some different things on swapping short blocks out and stuff, and just learning. But yeah. So, and then the other world is we do some other nitro block work, cylinder head work for some other teams. Doug Foley's in town here. There's a few others in the area that we do work, and also in the drag race world and the pro stock.
Oh, that's great. Listen, and if any business nowadays, not just engines, diversification, you've got to be able to have multiple streams, and you got something going with drag racing, you got something going with road course racing, which is tremendous. Let's take a second for people who have watched to this point to give an action step for people that are saying, man, I want to go down the road of finding out a little bit more about what you guys do. Give some contact information, Dennis, and tell them where is the best way to get a hold of you in case they are already like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I have an engine for a road course engine that needs to be built.
Sure.
I'm going to explore with him.
Sure. I mean, call ProMotor Engines. You can look us up online. I can give you the phone number right now.
Do it.
It's 704-664-6800. And usually if you call, Amanda will probably answer, and she'll direct you to me, or if it's one of the guys in the shop, just feel free to call or look us up on our website, and you can get a hold of us that way too.
Now, do you offer horsepower levels? I'm thinking about the person who comes to you and says, like, hey, I want a lot of horsepower, but I don't want to push the edge. I want this thing to last, versus a slightly different customer who's like, man, I want to push the edge. I want this thing to make the most power it possibly can. Do you have like a menu where you give them choices of those things?
I do, and that's really, we have a conversation on what they're trying to do, and if it's let's just say, for instance, and I'm going to say it's a platform that was based off a NASCAR engine. We kind of already have that recipe, and I kind of go over it and tell them, hey, that in things of the pistons, we obviously, and I think with the smaller rings we have now, the lighter parts, the better sealing, the higher end engines, we can go over that and say, okay, this engine will, like for instance, a cup engine, say, we can put this together and it's a durable engine to up to 8,800 RPM and it'll make 850 horsepower. And they're like, well, they already know other guys are making it. How do I make more? So I said, well, we can do that. And it goes back to that fuse. We can put more compression in it. We can look at things on the fireland on the piston to make the quench better and take care of losing dead space in the combustion. And we can make more power, but in doing that, we're going to shorten the fuse. So there might be more maintenance involved down the road. That engine may not last as long, or it may need service sooner, but we can do that, and we do.
That is great. So where do you see, you said that you have always gone where the work is, and that is just so smart. Where's the work now? You said there's a lot of road course work. Where do you think it's going?
I'll tell you what, the good and the bad is we're losing a lot of older people. And this, as we get older, we found out. I lost a really good friend this last weekend that I would call Steve after every drag race. He was like a mentor. He was out in California and, passed away this weekend. And I'm like, we lost another one. And so it's like that there's less of us out here. And I don't think the need has shrunk because people still need to find somebody to do the work. I think that right now, I've kind of looked into the world. We've done some midget stuff for USAC midgets at the Chili Bowl and some other races. You can, for me, I don't know if go on Race Monitor or, the different venues for timing and scoring, you see all the different racetracks across the country. And there's still a lot of them out there. So I think that the circle track stuff we still do. We still have engines at the Snowball Derby. We dabble into different short track racing. There are some levels, and I'm not saying they're beneath what we do, because we do a lot of them. But there's a lot of them where there's still the local engine builder does this stuff for the Saturday night racer at the local track. But oftentimes they can't find people they're looking for a builder. So connecting all the people and all the businesses that you guys deal with, and really it comes down to getting the product out to the customer assembled, and that's, but I still think there's a lot of them out there.
Oh, absolutely. In a reliable way, in a time controlled way,
Mm-hmm.
the local guy. And, once upon a time, that's the way everybody did it. You went to your local engine builder, you had a local machine shop here in Miami. Those numbers are fewer and fewer. And so who's going to do it, right? You're going to drop X amount of dollars. You want to be able to trust that the facility knows what they're doing, is going to do it right, and get it to you within a reasonable schedule. And so it makes sense that there would be some consolidation like this. Now, you worked in the Cup Series during what many consider to be the golden era.
Yes.
Golden era of this. You mentioned the Country Time Lemonade. I'm thinking about Days of Thunder. That car's in the background, right? Like that's a period of NASCAR that everyone talks about. The personalities, Rick Hendrick, so many others. Got any great stories?
Yeah, I mean, I look back to those days and think about without going into stories of how we made horsepower, and I feel like we did a good job to stay in between the lines. But back in the day, there was so much going on with when the restrictor plate engine was being developed, and it's just one guy trying to beat the other guy, right? It's like Bobby Allison got into the fence at Talladega, and it was like, we have to slow these cars down. So then, and we were in Redding, California at the time, and it was like they gave us an inch and a quarter restrictor plate, and we lost 250 horsepower. We were terrible, and it was like people were putting power valves in the bottom of a Holly power valve in the bottom of an intake manifold. They're doing all sorts of things to suck air. And long about that time, we were in Reading, and our restrictor plate, and I've got one here. This is less than an inch right here. So this was what we ran in the 90s. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that would take an engine that would make back then 750 horsepower, and you would struggle to make 400. Well, we started working, and I still have the little lathe out here that we did the parts on, but we started working on it, and I'm sure people in North Carolina did too. I don't know who gets to claim that they invented this, but I'll show you this. We had this device right here. This went in the intake manifold.
Oh my goodness. I've heard of this. I've never seen this, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. So these tubes right here, okay, we machine these tubes, and we have different radiuses and angles, and we just kept working on it to try to find out how to make the engine run the best. And ask 10 people what it does, and I guess I would say it straightens the air out, but it makes horsepower. NASCAR had no rule on it, so we kept working on that and working on it, and that the compression in the engine, we started raising the compression, and we got to where the engines in NASCAR, there was no limit on compression. There is now. It's 12-1. We had our Cup engines up to 19-1 compression. They would run without the ignition if you had fuel in them. They would start. You worked on things and trying to get ring seals. So the drag race guys back then, it was real big to gas port pistons to do vertical gas ports. Well, we were doing that on our Cup engine and taking the second ring out, running a 2-ring piston. Other people the same way, but the oiling system, we found out that if we could evacuate more oil out of the pan, it was going to make more power. And that was a learning thing there, because we always had breathers on our valve covers. Well, we stuck a pump in the dyno room. We stuck a 5-stage pump. We put 5 bungs on a dry sump pan and put them in a barrel and turned that on in the middle of a run, and we gained 10 horsepower. So we implemented that by putting in we put an extra oil pump on the rear end of the car back there at the pinion and ran lines up to the oil pan. So there was so many things there that people were doing. But as far as stories, that's just kind of development. But there were a lot of crafty things that people did that keep the rules going. I guess that's why we have rules, right? Because there's always somebody that's going to go over the line.
That's why we do this. That's part of exercise, the challenge of figuring out the solution to the problem. And the problem is to get from point A to point B ahead of the other person.
That's right. Yep.
That's awesome, Dennis. Now, listen, I appreciate you giving a little insight there. If I'm a person out there and got a program that I'm developing, whether it be in Trans Am or otherwise, drag racing, maybe a V8 spec series, like, you're my guy. Just the fact that you've been through those development wars and you know what it means to compete both in the dyno room and on the racetrack.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yep, for sure. That's the dyno is kind of it's our best friend. It's the tool we have. And now, I go back to the drag racing, going the racetrack. Now that's the dyno for a drag racer, right? But the nitro car, it goes back to that part of it. It's the whole car. I mean, and I guess all the cars are like that. But to apply the power and the clutch in those cars is it's amazing.
Well, 12,000 horsepower. It's something that we are constantly trying to explain, even to ourselves, at 2 Cup engines in 1 cylinder. How can that be? But it is all because of the boost and the super fuel that carries its own oxygen. It's just insanity.
Yes. Yep.
And you're working on all of it. And that's what's exciting, is that when you come to work each morning, you get to be in all of these different worlds, whether it be a TA spec engine that's going to be sealed, you're within a framework of rules, to a 12,000 horsepower nitro short block that is going to go out there and run 3.6 seconds at maybe 340 miles an hour. you get to do both, and you're capable of doing both. That's talk about building a strong business.
Yeah, it is. No, it wouldn't. It's the people too. That when Judy talked to me about coming on your show, and what I wanted to talk about, and my first thought was relationships, and whether it be in life or in our business, we can't do what we do without good relationships with people. And in this business that we're in, the people that are here at ProMotor, I have one of my assemblers has been with this company since 1977, and he is phenomenal. It's like I'm going to miss him if he ever retires, but he's going to have a hard time because we're not going to let him. His son's been here for 20 years, and it's just having people like that. It's people that make all these businesses go.
100%. Well, and you mentioned a couple of things that are challenges for our industry. This is race industry now, our industry, and it's people. Getting the next generation of young people interested in doing the job that you've done and bringing them on board and teaching them the ways and all that. But it's a passion project, truly.
It is, and they're maybe going off the trail here a little bit, but there's a NASCAR tech school, UTI, here in town, and we've had kids that we've hired from there, and we've had good success having good people. Interview them and bring them in, find out if they have a passion for racing or for this kind of work. But to be able to invest some time into them to bring them along, because it's you can make a living at this, and you can make your passion. Like, we all heard the saying, it's not work if you like doing it or whatever. It's not a job if you wake up wanting to do it. Well, this is that job. For people that want to come into it. It's just we get to do something that almost like it's not the real world, but we're doing real work every day, and we provide a service to those people that want to go racing.
Well, on that, Dennis, like what would you say are quickly as we get to the conclusion, the keys to making reliable horsepower? What would you suggest to people out there? And I know there's people watching that are thinking like, all right, what key, couple of keys to reliable horsepower?
Good parts. I mean, it starts with really with quality parts, and then assembly procedures. There are procedures and checks. There's rules in everything we do, and I always say in a racing engine or in any engine, everything's really close to each other in that engine, but it can't touch each other. So you have springs. When those springs come, when they almost bind down, when that cam's all the way open, they can't touch. Those springs aren't supposed to touch you in the real world. So all the clearances have to be right. Basically procedures, clearances, machinery, how we do things, procedures goes back to people. So when people come here, we go over that with them, and some of the things that we do, we talk to them about. And then when the engine's done being assembled, it's blueprinted, everything's checked, it goes to the dyno room. Other than the nitro motors, we dyno every engine that we build, and because we have to verify that it's doing what it's supposed to before it goes in the race car.
Good parts, meticulous assembly. And ProMotor Engines offers all of that. I'm sure there are people who are wondering, like, I don't know, maybe this company is over my capabilities. Like maybe you're too big for them, or maybe they got an R&D project that they're looking for the right person to take it through its paces. Do you do those things? And what would you say to those folks?
We do some. I mean, some I have to tell them, no, we can't do, but we do projects like that. I've had some strange different projects come in here that people want to do. It takes more time, and that's it turns into more dollars for them, but we can certainly, or we can find out what they're trying to do and maybe help them narrow that down. I'm not always the guy, and I'll tell them, hey, I think you should do this, or maybe they're capable of doing it themselves, and we can do the machine work for them. We do that too.
Right, just do the machine work. What
Mhm.
about Jim Oberhofer? Do you want to say anything about Jimmo? Because
No,
he's out there watching right now, and it would be a
he's
perfect time.
great. Yeah, Jimo's great. He's like, um, I have never. I mean, being around him, he's always calm, but he's very intense about what he's doing and cares about what he's doing. I mean, a tough job. I'd say that one of the toughest jobs out there is tuning a top fuel car. And to be able to uh, either if you had a good run or you didn't, to come back and have the presence of mind and be able to just get back to it. And he does. It goes back and you look at the good point of the run, or that if the run didn't go well, there's going to be something good about it. And that's really in life. You have to look at some of the end and find out, pull out the good, and then work on the other stuff. And I think Jimmo, he's good at that. He's really good. I mean, the first year I got to travel with the team. We won Denver, St. Louis, I think, and Chicago, and just to see how things go when they start clicking. I didn't go the next year, but that year I saw it. It's like a dance, and to be able to have all the people, and like I say, he's got a very, he doesn't get uptight with the people, with his guys. He has a plan and goes after it.
Well, I love that we got celebrities out there in the audience watching
Yep.
here on Race Industry
Yep.
Now. Jimmo, who has been on our PRI week shows, the pre week that we do here on ePart Trade Industry Week. It is always great to catch up with the drag races. Kind of a nexus between the motorsports because it's so different. It's just an acceleration contest, and we're just trying to make
Right.
brute power.
Exactly.
Well, the fact
Yep.
that you're building the short blocks, you're doing so much in road course, Trans Am, V8, nostalgia V8, stuff like Mr. Nemechek is involved in. Ray Evernham is trying to bring back IROC, which is so cool. There's a lot of work out there, and there's fewer and fewer reliable engine guys. And so I really appreciate what Pro Motors has done, and honestly that you were able to continue a legacy business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and we're gonna keep digging and just keep working on the passion and getting better.
And what do you think that for finding horsepower, like all the big quantum leaps forward, I would say they have happened already. But what is the next plane, the next territory? Intake manifold, cylinder heads. You talking about putting vacuum pumps on for ring seal? Is there a next plateau?
I would it be fuel? I don't know. Would it be, maybe something in the future that the engine has changed, the size of the engine? Of course, they have smaller engines now. You look in your new cars and see how the small cubic inch engines that are making all sorts of power now, even in our pickup trucks. Turbos. I don't know. I think that we as human beings, as people, we have done a very good job at the evolution of horsepower, right? And making it better and faster to where, in the drag race world, and even like when we go to Daytona, we had to keep putting restrictor plates on them to slow them down because the track couldn't hold the car. We didn't have a tire that was good enough. And I think that we have put ourselves in not a bad spot, but we've made all those advances, and we can't. The stopping point now is safety, right? So it's like, as far as where we go next, I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe just a platform the size of the engine, but
Interesting.
what would we do even in top fuel racing? It's that's been an argument forever.
I'm good to hang out right where we are right now for a while. I'm loving what the product has been in Top Fuel. It's fast, it's exciting, it's close racing. Scott's out there in the chat section, and I just want to make sure you hear this and everybody hears this. Says Dennis fixed a cylinder head for us that the manufacturer had for a year and said was unfixable. Like, we can't fix this, man. And that you were able to go out there and save him a ton of money because you guys at ProMotor were able to fix something that the manufacturer deemed unfixable.
Yeah, and that's people. That's the guys back here in the shop, knowing what we can do. We have a welder here that he can just about weld anything, everything but a broken heart. That's what he'll tell you, and he probably can. But yeah, being able to knowing what we can do, and we have some techniques to fix some things that are not. I don't know, I guess, common practices, but they work very well. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate him saying that.
No, thank you, Scott, and thank you, Pete, out there, everyone chatting and chiming in with cool, positive sentiments. We certainly appreciate that. And what about Dennis? We're trying to get people in the shop to work. We're trying to get people out on the racetrack, and we're always just trying to grow motorsports. It's a high hurdle, right? They throw a basketball into your crib when you're a baby. Being involved in motorsports is more of a challenge. And so to replenish the industry, we need new racers, right? Do you help coach people who are first time in the industry, like that haven't gone through this process before as part of your business model? Like, hey, we're going to help coach you up with your racing engine and make sure that, this thing lives and you do the right things. Maybe they don't have lifelong automotive experience.
Right. No, we do. We'll have people come in, and it might be a short track racer that comes in and has an engine he bought from somebody, and he spent a bunch of money, or he just did something he didn't know. So I try to help. You get on the phone, talk to them. There's a lot of common things that happen because it's just common to me or to somebody that knows that you see go wrong, and just kind of walk them through it. I think educating the customer on what they do, it's going to save them. They're going to have more fun. They're going to learn faster. They're going to appreciate what you do. And at the end of the day, we wake up and do what we do because we have to make a living. But if we didn't get enjoyment out of helping people, it would be zero fun. This would not, it wouldn't be worth doing.
Give that vital information one more time, Dennis. ProMotor Engines, you're in the North Carolina area. You do business all around the country. I see Judy popping back on. One more time for everyone out there here at the conclusion of this edition of Race Industry Now.
Sure. I mean, you can get a hold of us. You can get ProMotor Engines. You can find us online. We have a website. You can call the shop, 704-664-6800. And, you'll probably get a hold of Amanda, and she can get me or somebody else, and we'd be happy to answer questions and whatever we can do to help.
Thank you, Dennis. And I see Judy is back.
Yeah,
wow,
Dennis, you have a lot of nice comments out there. A lot of people, you have a lot of fans, including Jim O. And I'm honored to have Jim O on today. He is part of this platform. He helped launch us over 8 years ago. So I'm happy to have Jim on today. And if anybody is out there as attendees and you have yet to sign in and register, just like having a trade show badge to this platform, you could reach out to Dennis. You could reach out to all these manufacturers, suppliers that are exhibiting, pretty much showcasing on this platform. Trade shows are great, but they're only a few days out of the year. We cover the other 51 weeks out of the year. So please sign in. Thank you, Dennis, for the insight.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Great.
Thank you,
Dennis.
Excited to have you on. So next week, we have Morse Measurement joining us. So we hope to see you then. Thank you.
Hey, we want to thank you for watching. Now, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell so you're always up to date with the latest racing technology, industry insights, and exclusive content from ePartrade. In racing, every second counts. This is ePartrade, the premier business-to-business platform for the performance and racing industry. We connect buyers and suppliers 24/7 worldwide. Racing never stops, neither do we. Discover cutting-edge products and services from around the globe, gaining insights from our live platform, daily newsletters, weekly webinar series, and our highly anticipated annual Race Industry Week. ePartrade.com. The racing industry, every minute, every day.
ARP, the ultimate fasteners for whatever you build. To get the best performance, always follow ARP's installation instructions included with the product. For the latest torque specs, go to arpinstructions.com.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series. Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
Where will you find Farea racing components, circle track, drag racing, and any top race shop? In every form of motorsports competition, our valves and valve train components deliver race-proven design and technology. And we've brought that same performance to our street applications as well. We're backed by 5 decades of experience, an extensive range of off-the-shelf components, and our custom valve department has the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Farea Racing Components. Stand with us or race against us.
Not all trailer cabinets are built for the long road ahead. Aluminum Econo trailer cabinets from C-Tech Manufacturing are engineered to last and ready to ship today. Each Econo cabinet is packed with exclusive features like motion latch drawers and gasket lock countertops, all made under one roof in our Wisconsin headquarters. Shop Econo online today.
When performance matters, every component must earn its place. Introducing RaceFan, engineered from the ground up for high-performance racing. Built with an aluminum universal hub and advanced composite blades, RaceFan delivers a significant reduction in weight over traditional steel fans. Designed with real racer feedback, each blade is made from high-impact, high-temperature, fiber-reinforced Zytel for unmatched durability. And if damage ever happens, simply replace the blade, not the entire fan. With configurable 2, 3, 4, or 6 blade setups, RaceFan adapts to any condition. RaceFan, lighter, stronger, smarter cooling.